All right, have your notes ready because we're going to talk about probability, and you've actually talked about probability quite a bit in your lifetime. It's just talking about the chances of something happening. You talk about it all the time when you talk about weather, right? There's a 30% chance of rain. That's a probability of it raining. So first off, we need to talk about the notation. So if I want to write down the probability that it's going to rain, I am not going to write out all those words. What's the probability it's going to rain? What we do, again, we try to be efficient, is we write a capital P. And so if you see a capital P with parentheses, you know that what is about to come is the probability of something. And if I want it to rain, then what we call our event, the event we want to happen, or not happen, I guess, is the rain. Okay, so that goes in the parentheses. So when I look at this, I look at it and I say, what's the probability it's going to rain? And then we said it was 30%. Now, probability can come as a percent. It could come as a fraction, 30 over 100, or it could come as a decimal. Okay, probability comes as all three. Typically, when we look at probability, we actually build it as a fraction, and then we can turn it into one of the other ones if we want. So when we build it as a fraction, what we do is we write the probability of the event. This would be great to write in your notes. So we write the probability of the event equals, and then on top, we write the number of favorable outcomes, which is probably kind of a new way of saying that. Outcomes are the things that can happen. Can happen. And favorable just meaning what you're focused on. Where are you focused? Okay. And then on the bottom is the total number of outcomes. So everything that could happen. It rains, it doesn't rain, it snows, it's sunny, it's cloudy. Everything that could happen is on the bottom for the total number of outcomes. And so you figure that out. Now, when you figure that out, what you're doing is you're usually figuring out what's called a theoretical probability. Okay, so theoretical, okay, is where you use what you know about a situation, and we'll just call it calculated probability. Probability, okay. So, for example, you guys know all about coins, right? A coin has two sides. It has a head side or a tail side. So if I write what the probability of getting tails when you flip a coin, on the top I write how many tails are there. Not a coin, there's only one. On the bottom is I write how many sides are there total, and there's two. And so then I can rewrite that as a decimal or a percent. That is theoretical probability because I used what I knew about it to make the probability. I used what I knew about a coin. But there's another kind of probability, and that's called experimental. Okay, and what you do is you use the results from an experiment. Okay, so if we're going to use these results from an experiment, let's say we flipped a coin 50 times. 20 of those times we got heads. 30 of the times we got tails. So now if I want to find the experimental probability of getting tails, remember before we just looked at one coin and looked at the possibilities off of one coin. But if I'm going to find the experimental probability, I'm going to say, well, there was 30 tails. So that goes on top because that's what I'm looking for is tails. And we did it 50 times, so that goes on bottom, 50. And then we can turn that into a decimal or a percent. And they're not always going to be the same. And so then the last thing we need to talk about is what are possible answers? See, if someone told me there's a 110% chance it was going to rain today, I would tell them you're full of it, because probability only has a possibility of going from 0 to 100 if we're talking about percent. So from 0 to 100, 0 means not a chance. There's no way it's going to happen. 100% means it's guaranteed. It is going to happen. The only time 100% does not mean it's guaranteed is when the weatherman lies. And I want to call into the weather station all the time because I'll see 100% and then it doesn't happen and it makes me mad because mathematically they were wrong. And so if you want something to have an equally likely chance of happening, we go directly right in the middle at 50%. Okay, this means it has an equal chance. So if it says a 50% chance of rain, I'm going to be like, it could rain, it might not rain, equal chance of that happening. Bring an umbrella. Okay, the closer it is to 100%, the chances get bigger. Okay, they get more likely. The closer they get to 0, the less likely they get. It's kind of intuitive, right? So if they say 30% chance of rain, I'm going to be pretty comfortable in the fact that it probably isn't going to rain. But if it does rain, I'm not going to be mad because there was a chance of it. And a chance means it's not going to happen. I mean, a chance doesn't mean like 30% chance of rain doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just less likely to happen.